Welcome everyone to Male Fuzz TV. I am Peter, joined by Tara, and we are going to talk about Quantum Leap Season 1, Episode 7. It's called O Ye of Little Faith. It is the Halloween episode. We will all be obviously delving into spoilers for the episode. You have been warned. In the last episode, Ben jumped into an exorcist's body and just sort of realised the status quo as we ended the episode. Obviously this one picks up and we get a bit more context for what's going on. There is indeed an exorcism planned, and we have a lot of exorcist kind of visual callbacks in this episode, although it's notably set before that. I think it was the 30s, because they mentioned the crash, the market crash, and the cars and things like that were kind of that era. So that's the gist of it. So what makes it a little different this episode is that Addison, after a couple of scenes early on where she gets to crack some jokes at the spookiness of the premise, gets kicked out of the call, and Ben has to go it alone for the rest of the episode, and has to perform an exorcism and possibly solve what's actually going on via murder mystery-esque antics. What did you think, Tara, of O Ye of Little Faith?
I liked it. I thought it was, delivering on what we were expecting and hoping for, which was, kind of go all out with this and maybe make things a bit ambiguous as to what's real and what's not. I mean, they give, of course, explanations for everything that's happened, but there's still a little thing at the end that's like, maybe there is something supernatural going on here. And if, honestly, if it is a continuation from the original show, that show always went with the supernatural side of things, so
I'm sure
it makes sense.
They might build up to that and do it more overtly later on. I mean, honestly, if anything, I would say if there's a critique of this episode, is that some of the stuff that Ben sees is so specifically like Exorcist themed that it's a bit far-fetched what the explanation is for it. It's like, oh, he was drugged. I'm like, yeah, but he saw exactly Exorcist things.
Yeah, but I mean, there's the whole like influence thing, heightened fear. He has walked into like the set of Exorcist film in the beginning.
It's not a big deal. Don't get me wrong. Like I'm not going to nitpick it too much because it's mostly a funny episode. I particularly enjoyed. There's a lot of moments in this episode where Ben will say something and then realize that'll sound suspicious to the people around him, so he will try and then work it into like something that makes sense. Like he just goes, "What?" That's at one point to Addison early on, and they'll look at him and he's like, "What is the condition of the afflicted?" Little moments like that.
He's really funny in this, yeah.
Yeah, there's one with the doctor later on where he says, "Oh yeah, in school they taught me to, eliminate all the variables before I come into a conclusion." And the doctor's like, "They taught that in the Vatican?" He's like, yes, the Vatican. So there's a lot of little sprinkling of moments like that. They gave me what I wanted though, which was comparing what he does to demon possessing a body. They knocked that out early on. He says, "I don't believe in possessions," and Addison just looks at him and goes,
"What are you doing right now?"
This is possession. This is what's happening.
You're possessing this guy.
Yeah, and obviously we hadn't seen what the guy really looked like yet, so he looks over at the mirror and the camera pans over and it's like, okay, that was a neat way to lead into that.
I like the idea that this priest, this exorcist or whatever, he is approaching this situation as Ben, so as a skeptic, and saying there has to be a rational explanation for all this. But when Ben leaps out of him, I like to think that he's going to have this memory of being slightly possessed. So he's going to like double down and be whatever, believing in demon possession.
He's going to believe.
Or angel possession.
Oh, sure. I think I would be angel possession, because from his perspective, he might think he was possessed by it. Because that's kind of the thing, that the girl who's religious, who's been possessed, and that's probably the biggest far-fetched thing about all this, is that she acts exactly like she's possessed when she's been drugged with this stuff. It's very specific. She even looks like Reagan from The Exorcist. All these details just kind of line up. I did guess something early on, right? As soon as we see this big black spirit thing come out, I kind of immediately went, I bet that's nothing to do with what's going on. I bet that's to do with why there's like a malfunction in the system, rather than anything to do with this actual plot. And sure enough, at the end, that's kind of what it turns out to be. But
yeah, I thought maybe it was just another leaper or something trying to mess with Ben because it was a spooky episode. But yeah, eventually I was just like, oh yeah, it's probably Janice.
Yeah. So that's what it ends up being. I really, the one ambiguous thing you do get, the one thing that's kind of not completely wrapped up in a neat bow is this idea that when she was delirious, the possessed girl, quote unquote possessed girl, she wasn't really possessed, but she says that, when I first saw you, I thought I saw an angel who came to help me, but he didn't look like you. And she describes Ben. And he's like, what? And then she says, you have to go soon, right? And all she really means is, this exorcist came from another city or whatever. But he's like, yes, back to, Vatican. Or whatever. Yeah, maybe it was Baltimore, I can't remember. I was like, okay, that was an interesting little idea that someone on like a sort of like near-death experience that she was kind of having because she was continuously being poisoned maybe got a real glimpse of who was actually standing there. It's kind of a spiritual way of looking at it as opposed to, there's a glitch in the system or there's, something like that. Because they kind of made it look like early on that and obviously once she goes back to the present day, it's kind of clear it's just a technical thing. But they kind of make it look like when Addison's disappearing, it's happening as Ben's like doing the first part of the exorcism. So it's kind of like, the spooky stuff is like interrupting the connection and sending her back.
Yeah, it's cute, but I enjoyed it for the campiness. It's kind of what I wanted was them to go camp with it.
Oh, for sure, yeah. There's a lot of fun little moments. I think the mystery itself, there's nothing particularly special or original about it. In fact, it's very reminiscent of part of The Sixth Sense, funnily enough.
Yeah. It's a little Agatha Christie meets a mini story in The Sixth Sense.
Which is all right in the sense that if we're going to do different spooky episodes probably if it gets more seasons, and this is just kind of their first crack at it. They went with some kind of basics, if you will. Yeah,
I wonder if this might be the only like Halloween one because it came out on Halloween, so they felt like they had to do it.
Maybe.
Or if we'll get one every year, I mean that's okay with me.
I mean, most shows who like to do Halloween episodes will do it every year just for the episode that's right before Halloween if it's not airing on the actual night. I don't think the actual night usually stops most shows,
The thing that I found to be far-fetched about the episode was the actual drug. So yeah, Ben's been drugged and with a hallucinogen, which is why he's able to see these things happening, like the walls move and faces and stuff like that. And but it just, I don't know, it reminds me that like the writers don't understand hallucinogenics or just think that the audience doesn't understand how hallucinogenics work. And it's not that, he's seeing things that, he has to see in order for the exorcism to be more realistic for us to watch. It's more that it's not just like you take a hallucinogen and then you instantly start seeing things and that's it. Like there's a body high, like things get numb, your brain makes you say stupid things. So I understand anyway. There's like a lot of stuff that happens. It's not just like, you just start seeing things and there's no other effect. Like he would know if he took something that he was drugged.
Yeah, he only kind of realizes it when he has like a dream mid trip where he's with like Addison and he actually gets to kiss her. And it's not really her, obviously, it's just in his head. But it's where he kind of like puts things together. I do enjoy him casually dropping the word internet at one point in front of the maid, and she's like, wait, what?
I think that's what makes the show kind of fun also, is that, a lot of newer stuff tries to make it so that you can't access, or whatever lead character can't use their phone, like the battery's dead or whatever. But in this case, like he's leaping back in time, so there are no phones, there's no Google, there's only Ziggy.
Yeah, and even right now he's not got that because Addison's not there. I actually really liked as well because obviously the doctor comes in and he's like, thankfully a doctor, someone with a level head, and the doctor's kind of against him at first because the doctor he's the exorcist, he's going to be like peddling all this superstitious stuff, and the doctor's like, no, I'm a man of science, a man of logic. And Ben's happy to hear all this at first, and then immediately the doctor starts talking about lobotomies and electroshock therapy. And he's like, okay, you're a man of science, but you're a man of science in the 30s. So, like, you know, so it's a bit primitive by modern day standards, and this all sounds a bit horrible. Not that the doctor comes across as a bad dude. He seems like a nice enough guy.
Is like, yeah, this is our modern science is lobotomy.
Ben's like, no, that won't help her. That'll just make her, you know,
throw some leeches on her.
Yeah, not going to work. So I like the interaction there and them bouncing off. I guess, I mean, if there's a weak part of the episode, it might be like the family characters are all just kind of there to serve their purpose. Like, I don't think any of them are, you know, particularly entertaining or fun in their own right.
No, I think they're all right. I appreciate that they cast people who kind of, you know, look old-timey this time.
I mean, at least the mustaches and beards helped a lot.
Yeah. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Because, you know, it hasn't been great with making people look like they're from another time.
Yeah, the whole like conspiracy here is that, you know, so it's actually the mother and the uncle. So it's basically the dad's brother's having an affair with the wife, and they're going to run away with the inheritance money from the creepy aunt, who, I think the episode, like the first red herring of the episode is that the creepy aunt is probably the spooky one because she's kind of stern and has a cane, and, you know, maybe she got a big portrait on her wall that looks a bit suspicious or whatever. But then
every time you look at it, there's a bolt of lightning outside.
But then she gets killed, you know, seemingly by the demon, and it's like, wait, like the girl's not strong enough to put her on top of the cabinet like that. Like, what the hell? But it turns out there's a secret passageway, and, you know, Ben puts things together, and well, he doesn't actually put all of it together. He thinks it's just the uncle, because it's the uncle's room that the secret passageway leads to. So he thinks it's just the uncle, but when he scares the uncle at the end of the episode by faking the girl's death, and the girl sits up and he's like, the demon's here, he's someone needs to confess. The uncle gets so pissed scared that he just starts bawling out all these secrets, including that he's having an affair and that they're going to run away together. And
he's like, what? The demon's real.
And the wife wanted to be an actress and a singer in Hollywood, and that's what they're going to go to. And I'm like, I respect that, but like, you're old enough to have an 18-year-old daughter. I feel like your chance of breaking in is probably quite slim at this point, especially in this time period.
She just has big dreams that she wants to live up to, you know. Blaming it all on her kid for being forced to have her.
Yeah, I do. Not that there was a kid involved per se, but I do wonder if there's maybe a little influence of X in this.
I was thinking that too.
Yeah, just a little bit of those regrets coming up, and
yeah,
you know, it's recent enough because they might have wrote this episode like, you know, in the spring or summer.
Oh, they definitely did. Yeah.
So it might have been fresh on the mind at a certain point. So there's a little bit of X.
Well, I shouldn't say that, but I'm sure they came up with the episode, or at least what the episode was going to be overall, you know, after the movie X came out.
So we got a bit of X, we got Exorcist obviously, and we got a bit of Sixth Sense. That's all the things we're meddling with in this episode.
Really, not a lot of stuff at the project, which I thought was okay. I really like that this was an episode where Ben had to work things out on his own, and it was a spooky episode, so it kind of added to that. The stuff we get at the project is mostly okay. It seemed a bit redundant for the most part, other than we got a little bit of perspective of what happens like when Ian is doing like the research, and what happens when Ben is successful with his leap. You know, the research they used, the Reddit page just disappears, and they're like, look,
that's what I was going to say. It was just Reddit. that was the research. There's a Reddit page about this exorcism.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, subreddit. I forgive the terminology not being quite right.
I forgive you.
Well, I don't really speak to you. I speak to the anal people
really
who were going to make comments. Called a subreddit, you moron.
Yeah, I'm only on r/vintage lady boners. That's it.
Yes, you've brought it up before.
Where else am I going to post my appreciation for Garrett Graham?
And Dean Stockwell.
Yeah, he was a handsome man.
Yeah. Especially
as a werewolf.
I appreciated Ben figuring things out. I mean, I think the stuff back at the base was reasonable. It was definitely much less of it this time. It was mostly just a little bit of fun speculation at the start for me about, oh, maybe there is a demon effect in the system. Who knows? You know, it brings up Sam and how Sam believed that God was guiding him through the leaps, and so maybe there's a little bit of that going on. There's a little moment for Jen where she reassures Addison that they're going to get Ben back, so it's a little bit of friendship from them, which is nice. So
yep, still like Jen.
So no magic this episode, but that's okay. I'm sure he'll be back.
I'm excited that that we get Janice now.
Oh yeah. Well,
that there's some progress in that. It feels like it's been a couple weeks.
Just before we talk about that, I just want to say that they might have left Ernie Hudson out of this episode because the temptation for him to make a ghost joke would have been too enticing.
Does something make you feel good, Magic? You can't say that at work.
Yeah, does something make you feel good, Magic? It's like, stop busting my balls, and then just walks out.
Beautiful. You should write for the show.
Yes. Yeah, so Janice, obviously the big reveal is that it's not a demon infecting the system, it's the hacking, it's Janice, and then not inside, but in the past, Janice, like the big spirity thing we saw finally forms into her. Like that was just what it looked. It's kind of funny how it looked like a demon up until this point, but
well, like I said, I think it was the influence.
Oh sure. Yeah, but he saw it before.
Things were heightened. The lights were flickering everywhere.
Yeah, but the first time he saw it was before he drank any of the gin with the drug in it. So,
well, maybe that's really how she was coming through.
That must be. That's my point. So she finally appears, only to say, "I'm Janice, and I'm here to warn you." And then Ben leaps, and we don't get to hear what the big problem is. Something catastrophic is going to happen.
She doesn't seem like in this scene. She doesn't seem like she's
a villain,
evil, or anything like that. She seems like, I'm here to help you.
It seems like
we have something else that we need to take care of.
By the time the story plays out, she's probably going to be more of an ally to the rest of the team.
Here's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking Janice has told Ben that there's another leaper from the future who's trying to change something that they've done on a leap. So trying to like change something that was changed in a previous leap, maybe by Addison. And so Ben has to like go in and change this to catch up to him. That's what I'm thinking.
Hold on. Right.
I hate to go full Christopher Nolan.
How would Janice... The only part of that I didn't get or didn't like is the idea. So I like the idea that there's a leaper from the future who's messing with stuff, and that's why Ben has to go in. However, the part about he's changing something that Ben already changed in a previous leap, how would present day Janice know that if they haven't done it yet?
Ziggy? I don't know.
But Ziggy can't see into the future. Ziggy only has the information up until...
The future Ziggy maybe is communicating with the past Ziggy.
Okay, but that's like a whole other like aspect they have to introduce. If we have knowledge from the future, that's a whole new thing they have to introduce. Going from right now, with what they have in play...
With what we have, with the pieces we have another leaper from the future, and Janice has convinced Ben to do something.
Yes. So... I'm absolutely like on board with the idea that Ben is chasing this sleeper, and that was the intent because this sleeper is going to do something. But I don't know.
I have another idea.
Okay. Anika.
I think what if it's because this project is successful, they continue the project later on, but other people are in charge. Mm-hmm. Like maybe a bad person is in charge of it, and they want to change something specifically, so they've sent this guy, this willing participant who thinks he's doing something good for the country or whatever, to do this. But Janice, because he keeps going back further in time, Janice is like starting to pick up on what's happening here, and so they got to send Ben to the future to stop this project from being from happening.
Maybe I can't argue with it. Part of that before you said it the future, you made me think about Terminator. The idea that the bad guys
could be a Terminator plot, yeah.
Like the bad guy sent his soldier back in time to change something, so Ben's been sent back in time as the Kyle Reese to try and stop the change from happening.
Yes.
I like that idea. That's not bad.
We're getting a lot of stuff here on the table. Something's going to be right.
Oh yeah, we'll just have 500 theories. One of them's bound to be in the realm of possibility. Yes, I mean it's a fun progression. I think we're probably not too far away from an episode that focuses on this plot. And what I mean by that is, typically when you get shows like this that are episode by episode and they've all got their own adventures, but you've got an overarching plot, there's usually 2 or 3 episodes in the season that devote themselves to the season plot. And I feel like we might be on the brink of getting to that soon. So, well, we'll see. But no, I had good fun. The Exorcist stuff was entertaining, had some nice silly jokes. Ben's reactions to the Freddy Krueger style, the face and the hands coming out the wall was entertaining.
Mm-hmm.
Him talking to his reflection because he's not got Addison to talk to.
Oh yeah, it was like a Smeagol Golem thing. I like that.
And that's when he realizes, well, I'm not a man of faith, but the body I'm in is, and that's been the rule up until now, is that if he's in the body of a boxer, then he'll punch really well. So he's like, okay, put on the cloak and the scarf and whatever else you call the damn thing, and
you can read Latin because you took it in high school.
Convenient.
I don't know. Yeah. Did your high school have Latin?
It did not. I mean, to be fair, they did set up.
Maybe you went to a private school.
They set up.
He seemed kind of poor.
They set up in the first episode that he could speak something like 5 or 6 languages. So
they said multiple. I don't know how many.
I did not say how many, but regardless,
whatever's convenient.
They've set up that he can speak multiple languages. But I really hope soon then that, to just make it feel realistic, they encounter a language that he doesn't know how to speak, because he can only speak so many, right?
He speaks Romanian, Mandarin, Latin. Is that what we've got so far?
Oh, no. Well, it wasn't Mandarin, it was Cantonese. But in that scene, I thought he could only speak Cantonese because he was in the body of someone who could speak Cantonese, because he sounded surprised. But now I'm thinking about it, maybe this is just he could speak Cantonese and Addison wasn't there to go, hey, you can speak Cantonese. So he just acted surprised because there was no one to tell him, hey, that's normal, you speak that. So I'm going to say that one's up in the air, but definitely Latin and Romanian, and obviously English, but we don't have to count that, obviously.
No. Probably Korean, because his mother and him immigrated, right?
Yes. So, I mean, yeah, I hope they run to like a French person and he's like, I don't speak French.
Why would I waste my time with French?
Latin's way more useful.
Yeah, be one of the super like close to English ones.
Joe is so weird, is that, or what's weird about this detail that he can speak so many languages. And now I get that some people do speak a second language even though they don't need to do that for their job or whatever. But the idea that he is this like cutting edge linguist who speaks several languages when his work does not call for anything like that at all. Like he's he's a scientist and engineer and whatever. Like he's not.
Yeah, I mean Sam can do it just because he had that that trope of the time of, oh, he's just a brilliant wonderkin who's great at everything he tries and has a. Well, they did say Ben has a photographic memory, so maybe that just makes it easier for him to learn language.
Oh, maybe yeah. You can just look at the pages of the translation dictionary and just remember it all.
And just needs to hear the grammar and he'll be fine.
Yeah. Yeah. But limitations are what make it fun, because I think when you actually set up there's some limitations and like things that he can't do, it gives him obstacles to get around, and it gives him, that's why it's fun seeing him be an exorcist even though he's an atheiist, because he doesn't really know how to do it. And there's actually one of my favorite little moments is just when he's about to say a prayer before he's like the plan to like trick the uncle into confessing at the end. Like he said, okay, let's say a grace, or not grace, but like a prayer for her, and he just doesn't know what to do with his hands. So there's just this little bit of body language as he's doing it, where he's like, are we going to hold? Oh no, we're not going to hold hand. And he just sort of brings them back. I don't know. It's just
like me when I went to my religious neighbor's home for dinner. I always ate first. And I was like, oh, prayer. Forgot about the prayer. Like I'd always had like a mouthful of where they're like, we're going to say grace now. Like, oh yeah, I forgot that's the thing people do.
Oh man. I've never been in that position, but yes, I see it on TV a lot.
Every time. I mean, they serve the food and then you have to say the prayer. The food's gonna get cold. I'm hungry.
So, no, I had fun with all those little beats and things. So, obviously, we do have the leap at the end, which is to a... I think Ben says we just escaped from school, but it looked more like a camp for troubled teens than it was like a school. It looked more like, no, you're all here because you're troublemakers, and that's why they're escaping.
Yeah, it looked like a summer camp or something.
Yeah, but I think the name of it, to me, it felt like, oh no, you're all here because you got into trouble during the year, and that's why you're
There were some cops there.
Yeah,
like,
there was
they didn't look
guards.
like regular security guards. Yeah.
So so we basically jumped to it. I think it's the 90s based on the Weezer song that was not Bleezer, it was Blur, not Weezer.
Yeah, it was Blur.
Yeah, number 2.
Woohoo.
That one. So I'm assuming 90s, and it's them running to a car in like they've made a jailbreak. So I don't know.
Sounds like fun.
Yeah, we've had obviously older characters. I don't think we've had him play like any sort of teenager or young person yet. So that might be kind of fun to deal with.
Yeah, it looks fun. I'm excited for it.
Yeah, see how it goes. And I wonder if we'll get another tease of the Janice plot, or maybe this other Leaper X. We'll see if
Yeah.
they rear their ugly head next week. Well,
And I just want to apologize because I know I've accidentally not called Mason Alexander Park by their proper pronouns in the last episode quite a bit, and it was just an oversight, and it definitely wasn't intentional, and I just want to apologize. That's all.
well, there's a bit of a wrench in that apology because I noticed this episode Addison referring to Ian as a he. So
oh, really?
it's possible
But
that
they're so careful in the show.
it's possible that the character is referred to as he, even if the actor is not.
No, because Jen definitely refers to them as them.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, there was definitely a he in this episode because I've been trying to be careful as well. I've been kind of watching what I've been saying. You sort of training your brain to do it. Which is why I noticed it. I was like, wait, did Alison just say he?
Yeah.
It was when she was talking to Jen. One of them said it. So
Okay.
I don't know. We can
caught that.
We can stick to them if that's what's supposed to be correct. But people in the comments can let us know.
Well, I would never purposely misgender anyone.
Oh, of course not.
Yeah.
So, but there you go. That is Quantum Leap, episode 7, the spooky episode. And is it on next week? See, network TV is so often at taking breaks, but no, November 7th it's on. Okay, well, we'll be back next week with more present day Quantum Leap. Because obviously, as soon as it's on break, we'll be starting the old show. So, yeah,
Woo.
that's exciting.
Genesis, here we come. 2-parter.
Is Phil Collins
Be
in it?
ready. I don't think there's any Genesis music now.
No. And Peter Gabriel, that's the other one. That's the one that came after Phil Collins.
You can only handle so many awesome people in one pilot episode, and you get, Dean Stockwell and
I'm just
Scott
imagining,
Bakula, right?
I'm imagining Sam walking to the chamber to leap for the first time, and I'm just like, I can hear it calling in
I mean,
the
honestly,
air
it's just as
tonight.
cheesy as what you actually get. And I love it. I love it so much. It's so good.
I actually just learned that song's about divorce. It's about realizing you're about to go through a divorce. That's what the song's about.
Oh, I should re-listen to that. It's hard, once the drum solo kicks in,
I know,
it's so awesome. Divorce isn't awesome.
It's about building up to finally admitting to the person you want a divorce. That's what the song's about.
Okay.
So, I always thought it was about saving someone. I thought that's what it meant. I can feel it calling. Like it's my calling
I just
tonight.
assumed it was about sex. Like most rock songs.
No, he was going through a divorce. He'd been through a divorce and wrote about a divorce. I don't know. Anyway, that's quite a life, everyone. The next episode's called Stand By Ben, which I actually think is a funny title. So, nice.
We're getting a Stand By Me episode. I like that.
Which makes sense. They're teenagers.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Maybe they have to find a dead body.
Yeah. I'm a little actually upset that this episode wasn't like an Exorcist pun or something,
What was it?
It was O Ye of Little Faith.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I'm a little sad it wasn't like
They should all be puns.
tubular bends. No?
What, for the Exorcist one?
Do you not know that the Exorcist theme song is called Tubular Bells?
No.
Okay. All right. Well, for the people who got that, I'm sure you thought it was an amusing little joke.
Yep.
Fell on deaf ears, apparently, to Tara.
I'm trying to think of the song, and all I could think of is the Halloween theme because of the piano.
There's a piano, yes. But anyway, that's quite a lot for everyone. Thank you very much for joining us. Let us know in the comments what you thought of this week's episode. And of course, you can support everything by hitting the super thanks button below the video. You can over to patreon.com/mailfuzztv and support us on a monthly basis there. Or of course, you can support us for free by liking, subscribing, dinging the bell, commenting, and maybe sharing us out on Twitter and things like that. At mailed_fuzz for channel updates on Twitter. And maybe new platforms in the near future. If Busk ruins it all. But thank you very much, everyone. We'll see you soon. Keep watching TV. Have you got any vanilla? No, Ziggy, have you got any vanilla?
Vanilla.